Thank you, Ani. That was great. The last part of it is what you have to catch. Once you go to India, you see only colors, not black and white. Now I call upon Eli. He's he's the director and handling the economic relations with India and China. He was working as a deputy chief of the mission in Israel Embassy in India prior to this, and he will be talking about India, Israel, as a natural business partners. Eli, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Vasu, for inviting me, and to you all for this opportunity to speak to you about a subject that has become a kind of a passion to me, India. As Vasu have mentioned, I worked as a deputy chief of mission in our embassy in New Delhi for 4 years, and it has been quite an experience, I must say. Now, I would like to speak on the topic of, or rather I was given a topic of India and Israel as a natural business partners. And I think that one of the words here is a bit redundant, and that is business. I think India and Israel are partners, are natural partners, not necessarily only in business, but in many other areas as well. And what I'll try to do is to give you a bit of a broader perspective on India-Israel relationship, and of course also to speak about the business part of it. Okay, now I remember when I used to work in Delhi, when we used to go to a meeting, after all we represent a country of 7 million, and India is, well, you know, slightly bigger. So we always used to say that, you know, as a kind of an equalizer, we used to say that India and Israel together are close to 1/5 of the world's population. And once somebody corrected me and said that if they're going to wait a few days, they might get there by themselves, which is also true. So, but nevertheless, the secret of India-Israel relationship lies in a number of factors that are usually overlooked, I think, and not enough importance is given to them. Now, as has been mentioned, this year we celebrate 20th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Israel and India. And I think it's worthwhile looking at this period of time, what we have achieved through it, and even more, where have we started? Now, to refresh your memories, 20 years ago, we haven't started from zero, as usually is the case, but we have started from a minus. Those days, India and Israel were in different geopolitical camps. India was among the more stronger, more vocal critics of Israel. And the overall perception in both countries was not a very positive one. And nevertheless, during these 20 years, and 20 years is a long time in a personal history, but it's a very short time when it concerns the development of relations between countries. And in these 20 years, the growth in relations in all fields between Israel and India has been exponential. And today, we reached a degree of relationship that I would say in some fields even on the border of intimate relationship. And again, taking into consideration the differences between the two countries, I think it's quite an amazing phenomenon. If we examine this relationship, one of the issues, for example, that are there and that we never speak about is our cooperation in defense. Again, this is a kind of a well-known secret that Israel and India enjoy a very warm relationship in this field, and we definitely look forward to continue it. Economics. Vanya had mentioned our economic relations. We have about $5 billion this year of trade, which for Israel is a very high number. And now we expect this trade figures to significantly get higher because we are conducting free trade agreement negotiations with India. And we were chosen as the only or the first non-regional partner, together with New Zealand, for the Indian government to start free trade area negotiations with. And this also signifies the importance of the relationship that also the Indian government attaches to Israel. We hope to conclude these negotiations even this year, although it's not going to be easy because there are lots of issues to discuss, and free trade agreements are always kind of complicated things. But we still hope to make it this year because it's the 20th year, and it's going to be very nice to conclude this year with such an agreement. So trade, defense relationship is one thing, trade is another thing. But what is even more important is the people-to-people relationship. And since I come from the government, I can tell you that the real reason behind this growth in relationship does not lie in the governments. It's more to people-to-people relations. And Anat here is the head of the Friendship Association. So, and she represents a very important group of people who are also big patriots of India here. And I think this is one of the real factors behind this tremendous growth. Because I think there are quite a number of similarities between Israel and India. First, we are speaking about countries with very ancient civilizations. We are speaking about people who are very traditional and who have very strong moral values and family values. We are talking about nations that place a lot of importance on education as a vehicle for social mobility. We are speaking about two democracies who uphold the rule of law. And what is more important right now, we are speaking about two democracies under threat, which face significant falls abroad. So all this, again, makes us natural partners and also natural business partners as a result. Now, if you speak about business, I think one of the major pillars of our relationship with India is the field of agriculture. Last January, we have completed the first agricultural farm, Israeli demonstration farm, or we call it the Center of Excellence in Agriculture in the state of Haryana, not very far from Delhi. And this year, we're going to conclude another one. And there are a few other farms in the pipeline. And agriculture is really, I think, the backbone of the Indian economy right now. And I think we, even though we are quite small, have a lot to contribute in this field. And again, the idea here, as Vani had mentioned, is not buyer to seller. This doesn't work. We are doing it together as partners with our Indian colleagues. So the area of agriculture is extremely important. The other field, which I think there is a great potential, is water technologies. I don't know if you had a chance, but a few weeks ago we had a very big exhibition here called WATEC. I don't know who of you had a chance of visiting it. But I was there together with the Minister of Water Resources of Kerala, which is a state in India, in the south of India. And it was really amazing to see this gentleman, a very senior Indian politician, he's maybe about 75, and he was running around the different booths and finding out and this and that, and he was like, it was really very, very impressive. And I think we have a lot to contribute to the Indian development goals in the field of water technologies. Another field, which is perhaps kind of maybe more serious in a way, is the Homeland Security, the HLS. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, it depends on the point of view, we have acquired a lot of experience in Homeland Security and the way to deal with it. And India, I think, has a great demand in expertise in this field. And I can tell you personally, as someone who have experienced the Mumbai attack while I was in India, I could see the difference, okay, and the perception. Like in 2 days' time, every hotel had a security guard, and you couldn't pass. It was really difficult to pass these security guards because they were like instructed to more or less make your life miserable if you try to get in. So it was much worse actually than it is in Israel. And I think there is much more awareness now in India of our capabilities in this field, and a lot of cooperation. A lot of cooperation. Now, there are many other fields that I'm not going to mention, but I think in general, for us in Israel, India is a very big name. It's a very big name. I can see the number of students who study Indian languages and Indian history here in Tel Aviv. There is a faculty in Jerusalem. It's becoming really, really popular and become one of the most popular, actually, faculties. We have about 40,000 Israelis who travel to India. And if in the past it was like young people after their army service, today their mothers and fathers join in and travel with them so that to gain also an experience of India. So, and vice versa, we have this year we had about 30,000 Indians, which is a very, very small number. But it's still a quite significant increase from the previous years, who came to Israel as well to experience Israel. So we have a lot of growth and we have a lot of potential. And I think what we have so far is only the foundation for the relations, because the potential is much, much higher. So I want to wish you a very nice trip to India. And in India, it's a bit similar to Israel in a way that both in Israel and in India, every day is either a scandal or a festival. So I think you will also have an opportunity to experience, I hope, festivals, but maybe scandals as well, you'll see. But also it's also nice to experience scandal from time to time in India. So I wish you a very nice trip, and best of luck in your careers. Thank you.